Assalamualaikum, everyone. We are here today to talk about the assignment itself first. Okay, I've gotten a lot of questions, and I can't just keep answering and keep answering. So I'm going to answer them as much as I can today about the assignment itself. Okay, first one will have to be the assignment itself. Okay, so this will have to do. If you still have questions, it's gonna be harder to keep asking or answering. All right, thank you. So here we go. I'm gonna explain once more. All right, so let's start with this is assignment where I said this before, and I'm gonna say it again. Part story, conversation. Okay. So I don't want you just to tell me a story, or I don't want just a conversation where there's no story. I won't know we'll know kind of what's going on or not at all. That's the problem we've had in the past, okay? So you need to have this story part, which would be the narrator telling the I think I told you this before, the beginning, before an event, and then there goes the character dialogue at first, okay? So that's where the conversation is. Story and then conversation. And then after a while, don't just have the conversation keep going. You have to change in characters. So, other thing is change characters. So what this means is like change them in and out, something happens, blah, blah, blah. You have something that takes one character, then or two or three characters, and transitions them differently out, okay? Whether it's the narrator doing that, example, Fred brings out his sword and then fights the evil dragon, and fights, and then the cave collapses, he falls through, and then Brian comes in, oh no, what happened? Are you okay? And Fred is falling, what he thinks is his death. That would be where the narrator is talking. And we transition to Brian, what are we gonna do? And the friends are with him. Transition from Brian falling, not about him anymore. Once he's falling, it's about the other friends trying to see if he's still alive. Okay, so we gotta change the characters. Make sure it makes sense when you do that. Okay, that is important part of this. Okay, where it will be. We have to have that where. Throughout the story, throughout this whole thing, where, when, why, and some context. When you're telling a story, there's more W's. There's the 5 W's and how, blah, blah. You have to use this format. We have to use more of this in the story. I'm going to give context. What's happening right before the conversation dialogue, or what's being shown before it happens. Okay, foreshadowing. That's part of this story. Story conversation. Okay, remember that. Story conversation. Remember I talked about the structure. The structure part one is the structure, which is like the beginning, You've got the, you know, the setting, that's where, when, okay, I talked about that. You have 3 to 4 events. These are different things that happen. The narrator will be in between those, talking about what happened to maybe one or another character, the main character, or some other character, okay? So it has to be 3 to 4 events. So I have to pretty much know, make sure we know what's going on. Transition. So structure, transition. So make sure you transition better. So that's going to be having to do with my new thing. I have details again. Okay. What I don't want. So writing. I don't need a written story. Thank you very much. Don't send me those. That's for you. The end result is the writing you're gonna use for your story. Okay, you're gonna cut out when you're doing the writing. You need to cut out the dialogue. That is where the characters are talking, or maybe you cut out where the narrator talks for the narrator. For each person, is there going to be 1 or 2 or 3 characters, or there going to be a narrator and a character and a character? You need to cut out some dialogue for them all throughout, okay? You know, one event could be the same characters, and then the next could be 2 different, and the next could be those back to the regular characters, stuff like that, okay? I'm going to explain more about that later, another video. So writing, I don't need it. Dialogue, I don't need it. We're going to follow what you do in class, in your final. I just need your rough draft, maybe a video. Don't make it the same length as your full video, okay? It can be 10 minutes or less. It's just a rough draft. Send it in with your group, okay? I need to know that you're with your group doing this. Don't send yourself your own thing, okay? I don't need your writing. I don't need your dialogue written out for me, okay? That's for you guys. Like I said, you need climax, which is the big part after those 4 events. There's got to be a big scene, some kind of big scene, in an action, in a drama, in a horror. Maybe, you know, there's all types of different action, example, you know, and you know, we have the Eiffel Tower blowing up. That's a scene, huge climactic scene. You have horror, where the monster shows up and you finally see it, what it is. Stuff like that. That's where the climax, something big happens, okay? Following action, more conversation, more dialogue, and less narrating, and then end should be mainly the narrator, okay? The narrator could be talking at the end, giving us some kind of closure or not, depending on you, okay? Again, 20 to 30 minutes, and then those questions again, ask, there in the test, we have something like this, where you have to do the questions in reverse. In the other way, you guys will ask the questions. For the audience to get, if you gotta write it, they're gonna write it down, or you can they're gonna write it down at home, of course. They'll write it down, or you can write it in the message, or whatever, that's fine. They just need to be able to know. I can test and quiz them for that, okay? So whatever points they have for their test could be higher, could be lower if they don't do this, if they're doing the test. If you're doing both, or you're forced to do both, it doesn't matter. It'll still affect you. All right, that's it. I mean, again, story, conversation, change characters, where, when, why, context. Make sure we know what's going on, not confused. Structure, good transition. We need this structure for the story, okay? Don't care about the title so much. Care about, like, get something on paper, get something with your group. Okay, and writing, I don't need your writing. I don't need your dialogue. You guys do that. Important thing is, I'll tell you that after. But yeah, that's it. And that will be due when you have your date that I gave you. Okay? If you didn't get one, then there's something wrong. You weren't there, did not say anything. Ask questions. Alright. That's it. Now we're gonna go to the next part. Okay? So, yeah. Next one, I'm going to introduce something new that will help you, a few things that are new that will help you get by. Alright, let's take one more look at this. Okay. There you go. So, we didn't talk about this, but the next part that I want to talk about is items. I put this on. I didn't get to it last week, you know, doing the test and stuff with you guys, but we did items. So items can make a scene. Sorry. Can make a scene different. A scene can make a scene that helps the story along. So if let's say, I mean, like, obviously you need some important items, like if you're in a futuristic movie, you might have laser guns, you might have swords. In a fantasy one, you might have outfits that go with your era. If you're doing history, if you're doing these are items, they're important to the story. Okay, when you talk about items, one thing I'm talking about is symbols. They represent something. These represent something in the story. It's a lost book. That symbolizes mystery. It's you know, some kind of memory, like a bear, a teddy bear, could mean something in the story. These are symbols that will help. Like if you come along this and you'll ask a character, hey, why do you carry that teddy bear everywhere you go? Well, there's something about that I can't tell you now. And then we could later on find out more about that symbol, that teddy bear, in the story. Okay, so make sure you have items like that that'll make it interesting, your storyline. You know, there's actions. I have to enter, you know, actions. These are vocabulary we might use. Grab, thrust, jab, what else? Unload, empty. I'm sure you could add more to this, but like these are things we should utilize. Some words like that. Grab, like an action when you're doing that. He grabbed the item. This could have to do with your item. He like grabbed it angrily, or it's some kind of motion with that. Thrust, the sword, that object that has to do with like, and he thrusts it and pulls it out. Jab, if he's punching someone, or yeah, unload, if it's a, like I said, gun or some kind of item. Empty could be emptying his memory box full of stuff that his former girlfriend gave him, stuff like that. That action can go towards the items and the symbols, okay? They can mean something. If you're like burning a flag, they're burning, you know, different actions that might mean something. So make sure you use those kind of vocabulary when we're doing this with that. So other things about items, yeah, there's meaningful to the story, and they can be seen throughout the story. So you could just like have symbols that pop up everywhere, like little Easter eggs, mean like things that show what could happen in the future, or what happened there. You find a bloody rag here, and then you find another one, and you find another one, and you stumble upon something like that, okay? It could be throughout the story, it could just show up once. Those are some things. So let's take a look at that real quick. So, again, so it can make a scene. What I mean by that is make a scene. The whole item could just make the scene really perfect. Alright, there you go. That's somewhat about items. If you have any other ideas, you can tell me. Alright. Now we talk about sound effects for your... You guys could get this on... I want you to use this if you can. If you can utilize this. This would make your story really good. If you could have like sound effects. So basically it makes the story more interesting. Because it so what I mean by makes the stories more interesting, because it adds a tone. So if you have like there's a tone right there. The narrator could say like, and he heard a thud, something like that. Boom, and whack, and slam, and jam. Like the effects that you guys do will make it less awkward, less like we're watching some people just talking to each other. More like this is helping your dialogue. This will help you if you can use this, okay? Use those sound effects in any way. If you have some, sure, you can find some online if you want. It doesn't have to be like this, but this is something you could use. There's plenty, so it makes it more interesting. Hey guys, when we do this. It's awkward scenes, less awkward. Less or not awkward. Okay, so like, yeah. Oh, that's weird. You look like you're jabbing him, but there's no one there. You can't be in the same room. But if you go, shing, at least it would be a little better than you just putting your arm. Or if you're like, but then you add, and you're sad. Yes, that's better, much better. If you can add sound effects and sounds to it, and scary noises, maybe background music to it. Yeah, that would be great. That's something I want you guys to use. You can. What else? So again, how can we have us do this kind of stuff? Well, the narrator can create it. He can create the sound with his mouth or whatever, because he's the one really that should be doing that kind of stuff if you can't get it from a computer. He can create it. He can introduce, the item, what's gonna happen, and wham, he can introduce it, and then the sound could come after. There's many ways he could do it. Automated, like I said, automated. He can put something automated together. He can tell the characters to do it, etc. That's the narrator's job. He's got plenty of jobs to do. That's why it's kind of hard to be a character and narrator at the same time. Because we don't have all this other stuff going on. We don't have other people. We have a narrator and probably 2 or 3 other people in your group. Like I said, you should probably travel in between. So we talk about items. We have entrance. Exit. Examples. So an exit and entrance. You have to have like, and now, like think of it like a boxer or like a WWE fighter. He just walks in. No, you guys gotta pretend. Okay, one thing is you have to pretend in this. That's an important thing. So you have to pretend that, example, riding a horse. Maybe riding a horse into the scene. Or maybe you're opening the door. Slam, there goes the effects again. Opening the door. Or maybe you're exiting. This is the opening part. Opening the door. Teleport. etc. There's so many ways you could make an entrance, and then make the exit. Should be something, kind of dramatic, even if you're not even a drama movie. Sort of dramatic. Make sure, like, all the characters have some kind of end, exit. Maybe they die. It's kind of like dramatic. It's a little over the top, but it's okay. Exit's usually dramatic. You can make the entrance dramatic too. Okay. Alright. So, that's important. The narrator could do this, and then here comes the king. Dun, 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 dun. Something like that, or and then silence, and he just disappeared into the fog. Again, the sound effects would make that interesting. But yeah, exits could be mysterious in any kind of dramatic way. Make sure it's descriptive, and you're describing well, narrator, when you're doing this stuff. Okay, last thing that I want to talk about is, again, I want to go back to the memory. Memorize, I want to go back to, and just dialogue itself. %, memorize. But here's the thing. When you memorize, you can transition. So that's where the transition goes. You can have it from, you're traveling on a plane, you're going to be like talking, then traveling on a plane, the transition, then landing, and you can practice your lines before you start the next one. Okay? So the narrator will do some of that. He can help you transition. So you can read, and then, but I want 100% memorized. But if you can't memorize everything, make it up. Okay? Or, make up part of it. Okay? So do your best with this. With the dialogue and memory, write the whole story. I want you to write the whole story and dialogue. I know that will help you. But not for me, for you. Again, we go back to this idea. This story, this dialogue, is for you and your group. So make a copy for everyone, copy it online so everyone can have it. The story, but your dialogues have to be your own. Okay? Narrator can have his own, so you're not trying to think about everyone else's at the time you're thinking of yours. Okay? Last thing, narrator. Again, suppose to help all. So maybe you, okay. Narrator is supposed to help all. Alright? Just so you know that. Alright. Assalamu alaikum. I will see you guys next time. And I hope this helped. And if you have any more questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Thank you.